ice cream. The reward after footy practice. The movie night essential. The summer ritual with your kids. But most ice cream sold in Australia isn't ice cream anymore. It's a chemistry experiment, wrapped in nostalgia, sitting in your freezer right now. I spent 3 months investigating Australia's ice cream industry. What I found made me throw out half my freezer. Today, I'm exposing 5 ice cream brands you need to avoid, ranked from bad to absolute worst, and 2 brands you can actually trust. Stick around. Number 1 is in 90% of Australian homes. Let's expose them all. Brand number 5, Sara Lee. Walk into any Coles or Woolies right now. Head to the freezer section. You'll see Sara Lee's big tubs with pictures of creamy, indulgent desserts. Here's what you're actually buying. A product so processed, it doesn't legally have to be called ice cream in some countries. Owned by Goodman Fielder, the same conglomerate that destroyed Australian bread. Let's look at what's actually inside. Open a tub of Sara Lee French vanilla right now. You'll find over 20 ingredients. Real ice cream needs 4: cream, milk, sugar, and egg yolks. Sara Lee has emulsifiers like 471, 435, and 433. Stabilizers like carrageenan and gargum. Artificial flavors masked as natural flavor. But here's what makes Sara Lee particularly insidious for Australian families. They market themselves as the affordable premium option. You see those 2-liter tubs on special for $8 at Woolies and think you're getting a bargain. You're not. You're buying air and chemicals. The ice cream industry has a dirty secret called overrun. It's how much air they pump into the product. Premium ice cream has 20 to 30% overrun. Sara Lee, up to 100%. That means half of what you're buying is literally air. You're paying for frozen foam. And the health impact? 1 serving of Sara Lee contains more sugar than 2 Tim Tams. The stabilizers can trigger digestive issues in kids. The emulsifiers have been linked to gut inflammation in multiple studies. But Sara Lee knows what they're doing. They put real cream on the label. They use warm, homey branding. They sponsor community events, all while selling you a product that's closer to Cool Whip than actual ice cream. Your kids deserve better than frozen chemicals in a Sara Lee tub. Brand number 4, Ben & Jerry's, the activist ice cream. The brand that takes a stand on climate change, social justice, and Indigenous rights. The one that makes you feel good about your dessert choices because they care about the world, right? Here's the part they don't advertise. Ben & Jerry's hasn't been independent since 2000. They're owned by Unilever, the same massive corporation that owns Streets, Magnum, and Connoisseur, the same company with one of the largest carbon footprints in the food industry. Let me show you how the scam works. Ben & Jerry's Australia imports every single tub from overseas, usually the United States or Europe. They ship frozen products halfway around the world, burning fossil fuels the entire way, then sell it to you with packaging about saving the planet. The hypocrisy gets worse. Unilever, their parent company, has been repeatedly criticized for plastic pollution, deforestation, and exploitative labor practices. But Ben & Jerry's Instagram keeps posting about social justice. It's corporate activism as a marketing strategy, and Australians are paying $12 to $14 a pint for it. Now let's talk about what's actually in the tub. Go grab a pint of Ben & Jerry's half-baked right now. Look at the ingredient list. You'll find guar gum, carrageenan, soy lecithin, and natural flavors, which is industry code for laboratory-created taste compounds. The chocolate chip cookie dough made with refined sugars and palm oil. The brownies, more stabilizers and preservatives. 1 pint of Ben & Jerry's contains between 1,000 to 1,400 calories. That's more than half your daily caloric intake. The sugar content, up to 28 grams per serving, and each pint has multiple servings. But let's be honest, nobody stops at 1 serving. Here's what makes this particularly manipulative for Australian consumers. Ben & Jerry's positions itself as the ethical alternative. You're not just buying ice cream, you're supporting a movement, so you justify the price. You justify feeding it to your kids. You justify ignoring the ingredient list because the company stands for something. But Unilever doesn't care about your values. They care about profit margins. You're paying extra for marketing, not quality. Want to support actual progressive Australian businesses? Buy from local, independent ice cream makers. Don't give your money to a multinational corporation that prints social justice slogans on imported frozen desserts. Ben & Jerry's is corporate activism in a pint, nothing more. Brand number 3, Peter's. Close your eyes and think back to childhood summers. Drumsticks from the corner shop, Peter's ice cream at birthday parties. The ice cream truck playing Green Sleeves down your street. Peter's was Australian. Family memories wrapped in iconic branding. But here's what happened while you weren't paying attention. Peter's is now owned by Froneri, a joint venture between Nestle and PAI Partners, a private equity firm. Your childhood ice cream brand is controlled by one of the most controversial food corporations on the planet and financial investors who only care about quarterly returns. The takeover happened quietly in 2019. No big announcements, no warning labels, just the same packaging with Australian-made claims, while the profits flow to Switzerland and London. Let me show you what changed. Go to your freezer right now. Grab any Peter's product. A drumstick, a maxibon, a light and creamy tub. Read the ingredients. Then compare it to what Peter's used in the 1990s before the corporate takeovers. The old Peter's drumstick had simple ingredients: cream, sugar, nuts, chocolate. The new one? Reconstituted skim milk, vegetable oil, glucose syrup, emulsifiers 471 and 322, stabilizers 412 and 407, flavors. The chocolate coating isn't even real chocolate anymore. It's compound chocolate, which is industry code for chocolate flavored oil and sugar. But Peter's knows nostalgia sells. They keep the vintage style logos. They reference Australian summers in their advertising. They sponsor cricket matches and surf life-saving clubs, all while selling you a fundamentally different product than what your parents bought. Here's the health reality Australian families need to understand. A Peter's drumstick now contains 23 grams of sugar and uses palm oil in the chocolate coating. Palm oil has been linked to inflammation and cardiovascular issues in multiple studies, and it's terrible for the environment, despite Peter's parent company claiming sustainability commitments. The Peter's Light and Creamy range is even more deceptive. They market it as a healthier option because it's lower in fat. But check the ingredient list. To replace the fat, they've added extra stabilizers, thickeners, and artificial sweeteners. Your body doesn't even recognize half these compounds as food. And here's what makes me angriest about Peter's. They still use Australian dairy farmers for some of their milk supply. They slap Australian made on the packaging, but the recipes, the quality standards, the profit margins, all controlled by foreign corporations that don't care about Australian families. That drumstick you're giving your kid after school, it's not the same treat you had. It's a corporate imitation wearing your childhood memories as a costume. Peter's sold out, and they're counting on you not to notice. Brand number 2, Connoisseur. Walk into Woolies right now. Head to the ice cream section. You'll see Connoisseur sitting in the premium section with its sophisticated black packaging and gold lettering. Gourmet Madagascar vanilla, Belgian chocolate, Murray River salted caramel. The price tag tells you this is the good stuff. $12 to $15 for 1 liter. Double the price of regular ice cream. Triple the price of home brand. Here's what they're not telling you. Connoisseur is owned by Streets, and Streets is owned by Unilever, the same company that makes Paddle Pops and Magnums. The exact same supply chain, the exact same factories, the exact same corporate cost-cutting strategies. That premium ice cream you're paying extra for, it's made in the same facility as the cheapest ice cream in the freezer aisle, just with fancier marketing. Let me prove it to you. Go home and grab a tub of Connoisseur Gourmet Vanilla right now. Read the ingredient list. You'll find milk solids, vegetable gums, 412, 407, and 410, emulsifiers, and natural flavors. Then go grab any Streets product. Compare the ingredients. Notice something? They're almost identical. Real premium ice cream uses cream as the first ingredient. Connoisseur uses milk solids, which is code for reconstituted powdered milk. It's cheaper, it stores longer, and it allows Unilever to maintain massive profit margins while convincing you that you're buying luxury. But here's where Connoisseur's deception gets truly insidious. They use what marketing experts call premiumization. Fancy words on the packaging, European references, artisanal imagery, dark, sophisticated colors, all designed to trick your brain into thinking you're buying something special. That Belgian chocolate flavor? The chocolate isn't from Belgium. It's compound chocolate made with vegetable oils and imported cocoa powder. The Murray River salted caramel? Generic caramel with added salt and marketing. The Madagascar vanilla? Laboratory-created vanillin with a trace amount of vanilla extract. Now let's talk about what this means for Australian families. You're paying premium prices because you want to give your family something better. You see that Connoisseur tub at Woolies and think, this is the healthier choice, the real choice. You're justifying the extra $5 or $7 because quality matters. But you're not getting quality. you're getting the same mass-produced, stabilizer-filled corporate ice cream as every other brand Unilever makes, just with a prettier package and a higher price tag. A tub of Connoisseur has the same sugar content as regular Streets ice cream, around 22 to 26 grams per serving. The same emulsifiers, the same gums, the same everything, except you're paying double. Want to know what real premium ice cream looks like? It has 5 ingredients maximum, cream listed first. Real vanilla pods you can see with your eyes. No gums, no emulsifiers, no natural flavors. And it's usually made by small Australian producers who actually care about what goes in your mouth. Connoisseur isn't premium. It's a marketing department's masterpiece, and you've been paying extra for the illusion. Brand number 1, Streets/Magnum. This is the brand that owns Australian ice cream culture. Paddle Pops, Golden Gaytime, Magnums, Blue Ribbon, Viennetta, Calippo, Cornetto. If you grew up in Australia, you grew up with Streets, and that's exactly why they're number 1 on this list, because no brand has betrayed Australian trust more completely than Streets. Here's the history they don't mention in their nostalgic advertising campaigns. Streets was founded in Sydney in 1930 by Edwin Ted Street. For decades, it was an Australian family company making ice cream for Australian families. Then in 1960, it was sold to Unilever. Let that sink in. Streets hasn't been Australian owned for over 60 years, but they still use Australian imagery. They still reference Australian summers. They still wrap themselves in our national identity, all while sending profits to a British-Dutch multinational that owns over 400 brands globally. Unilever doesn't care about Australian families. They care about market dominance. And in Australia's ice cream market, they have it. Streets controls approximately 60% of the takeaway ice cream market. That's not competition. That's a monopoly wearing different brand names. Let me show you how deep this goes. Open your freezer right now. Count how many ice cream products are in there. Now check the fine print. Paddle Pop, Streets. Magnum, Streets. Golden Gaytime, Streets. Viennetta, Streets. Blue Ribbon, Streets. Cornetto, Streets. That choice you thought you had? It was an illusion. Here's what's actually in a Streets Paddle Pop, the one you give your kids after school. Reconstituted skim milk, glucose, sugar, vegetable fat, emulsifiers 471, 322, stabilizers 412, 410, 407, food acid 330, flavors, colors including carotenes and carmine, not a single whole ingredient. Everything reconstituted, processed, stabilized, emulsified. Your kid isn't eating ice cream. They're eating a chemistry experiment designed by Unilever's food scientists to be addictive, cheap to produce, and profitable. But Streets knows exactly what they're doing. They target children. Bright colors, cartoon characters, fun shapes. They've spent decades building brand loyalty before kids can even read ingredient labels. And now, those kids are parents, buying the same products for their own children without question. Go check your freezer right now. Seriously, go check your freezer right now. Pull out every ice cream product you have. Line them up on your kitchen bench. Look at the labels. Read the fine print. Count how many are owned by Unilever or Fronnery or Goodman Fielder. Check the ingredients. Count how many words you can't pronounce. Look for real cream. Look for real vanilla. Look for anything that resembles actual food. Now think about how many times this week you've given these products to your kids. How many times you've told yourself it's just a treat. How many times you've justified it because it's hot outside, or they've been good, or everyone else eats it. This isn't a treat. It's chemical dependency wrapped in childhood nostalgia. And these corporations are counting on you to keep buying it without question. But here's the good news. You don't have to. Because while these mega corporations were busy destroying Australian ice cream, a handful of small producers were doing the opposite. They were making real ice cream with real ingredients and keeping the profits in Australia. Let me show you what real ice cream actually looks like. Before I show you the 2 brands you can actually trust, understand this. Real ice cream is more expensive. It has to be, because real cream costs more than reconstituted milk powder. Also, the brands I'm about to show you won't be in every Woolies or Coles. You might have to go to independent grocers or order online. That's intentional. The big corporations paid for prime freezer real estate. Small producers can't compete with that. But if you actually care about what goes into your kids' bodies, this is worth the effort. Here are the only two ice cream brands I trust in Australia. Safe pick number 1, Bulla. Here's what makes Bulla different. They're still Australian owned, still family run, 4 generations, founded in regional Victoria in 1910. Over a century of making ice cream, and they've never sold out to a multinational corporation. Think about that. Every single brand I just exposed sold out decades ago. Ben & Jerry's sold to Unilever in 2000. Peters went through multiple corporate owners. Streets was bought in 1960. But Bulla, still independent, still making decisions based on quality, not shareholder returns. Now let's look at what's actually in a Bulla product. Pick up their classic creamy vanilla. The ingredient list is short. Fresh cream, milk, sugar, natural vanilla flavor, emulsifiers 471 and 322. That's it. Yes, they use some emulsifiers for stability, but compared to the chemical soup in Streets products, this is transparent. The taste difference is noticeable. Open a tub of Bulla next to a tub of Streets. The Bulla ice cream is denser, creamier. It melts slower because it's not pumped full of air. You can taste the actual dairy, not just sugar and stabilizers. Now, Bulla isn't perfect. They're a large commercial producer. They use some processing methods. Their ingredient lists aren't as minimal as artisanal producers. But in the Australian supermarket landscape, they're as good as it gets for mass market ice cream. And they're in Woolies and Coles, right next to Streets and Peters. Same freezer aisle, similar price point. You don't need to go out of your way. You just need to look past the corporate marketing and choose the Australian-owned option. Bulla proves that you can be a large-scale ice cream producer and still maintain quality. Still stay independent. Still care about Australian families instead of foreign profit margins. When you buy Bulla, your money stays in Australia. It supports Australian dairy farmers. It supports regional Victorian communities. It supports a family business that's been around for over a century. That's what real ice cream looks like. Safe pick number 2, Gelato Messina. If Bulla is the trustworthy supermarket option, Messina is what ice cream should aspire to be. This is proper, artisanal gelato made by people who care about every single ingredient. Messina started in Sydney in 2002. Two mates with no business plan and a dream of making authentic Italian gelato in Australia. Now they have stores across the country, and they've fundamentally changed what Australians expect from frozen desserts. Here's what makes Messina different from everything I've shown you. They make gelato fresh daily in each store. You can watch them making it. You can see the ingredients. They rotate seasonal flavors based on what's available from Australian farms. Walk into any Messina location and ask to see their ingredients. They'll show you. Fresh cream from Australian dairies, real fruit from local suppliers, real pistachios, real chocolate, no gums, no stabilizers, no emulsifiers, no natural flavors hiding laboratory chemicals. Their salted caramel doesn't use caramel flavoring. They actually burn sugar and add Murray River salt. Their chocolate gelato uses real cocoa from single origin sources. Their fruit gelato uses whole fruit that you can see and taste. But here's what I respect most about Messina. They're expensive, and they don't apologize for it. A single scoop costs $6 to $8. A tub to take home costs $15 to $20. That's 3 to 4 times the price of Streets, and they're worth it because you're not paying for marketing or shareholders or corporate profit margins. You're paying for real ingredients and skilled labor and Australian business ownership. Messina represents the future of Australian ice cream. Small producers, real ingredients, transparent processes, and Australians keeping profits in Australia. That's what you should be eating, not Unilever's chemistry experiments. Go through your freezer one more time. If you find any of these brands, bin them. Don't finish them. Don't give them to your kids just this once. Throw them out. You're not wasting food. You're removing ultra-processed chemicals from your home. Stop voting for Unilever and Nestle. Start voting for Australian families and real ingredients. If this video changed how you see ice cream, hit the like button. Share it with other Australian parents who need to know. And subscribe, because next week, I'm exposing what's really in Australia's most popular chocolate brands. Trust me, you'll want to see that one. Now go check your freezer and make better choices.